Welcome, Peacock fans, to another episode of Peacocks on the Prowl. I'm Jim Lowry, and sitting with me today is head coach of the men's basketball team, Brooks McKowen. Coach, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
All right, Coach, this past weekend, you guys had Minot State. You had the University of Mary. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the weekend?
It was a good weekend for us. You know, going into it, if you would have told us we were going to split, I would have said that's going to be a good thing. Anytime we go on the road and we can split, it's a win in this conference. I probably would have guessed it was going to be the opposite way around and, you know, go and get beat Minot and get beat by Mary, just by the way they're in the standings. But Minot's a good basketball team. They've got a couple guys that just came back from injury, are starting to play really well for them right now. So they're a tough place to play too. It's different. It's a big dome. It's a different type of arena that we're used to playing in, and it kind of got our guys to come out a little flat. And I give a lot of credit to them. You know, by the way they came out, they did it the next night too and beat Winona by 20. But you know, our guys battled. We made a run at Minot late in the game, and they just made a couple shots where we couldn't finish it off and take a lead. Then the next night we go to Mary, and our guys defended their butts off. You know, it was one of those things where we had a plan set in place. They followed it early, and it didn't work out early. The guys were making shots that we didn't expect to make shots. They were scoring in ways that they don't usually score. So as coaches, you know, you always get worried that that your guys aren't going to stick with the plan. But our guys stuck with the process, and it paid off in the long run. And we ended up being able to come back and put in a very good run at the end of the game to pull away.
Do you think maybe the Saturday night game was influenced by that Friday night loss? Do you think there was a little bit of a chip on the shoulder?
Yeah, anytime you get beat, you know, there's always a different feel. I don't know if it necessarily carries over to that point. You know, it's more of you just got to go out and play every night. That's the biggest thing in this league because every team is good in this league. It doesn't matter if you're playing the top team on the north or the bottom team in the north. They're all good basketball teams. If you don't show up, you're going to get beat. So I think it might have a little effect on it. But I think just when it comes down to it, it's just about showing up and executing the game plan and then knocking down shots.
You know, we talk about him a lot in here in the studio. Jimmyroath had a really great weekend again. Kind of talk about his play a little bit.
He did. You know, Jimmy's kind of moved with Jared being hurt. He's moved a little bit to that 4 spot because we've had to move Josh to the 5. And because of that, he's had some different matchups and been able to be successful offensively. And he averaged over 20 a game this weekend, had 20 both nights, 20-some. And has been playing very good for us. And, you know, the biggest thing for him, too, is he's defending. He's guarded some pretty good basketball players. Minot had a kid. Ended up having 27 on us, which isn't what we want. But Jimmy, you know, made him work, and we put different guys on him throughout the night as well. And then Mary has a player that's very good at the 4 as well, and Jimmy was able to, you know, get him in a little bit of foul trouble and isolate him a little bit, which is good for our team.
All right, Coach, this weekend, it's going to be 90s weekend here in Dorman Gymnasium. It's going to be 2 home games, which is always nice after coming off the road. With hopefully a full house in there cheering you guys on, what's kind of the plan for the weekend?
You know, it's 2 very different teams coming in. Wayne State's a good basketball team. They play extremely hard and do a lot of things very well, and we're going to have to play well that night to win. It's, you know, a coach that was here before me coming back, so there's always that aspect of it in the game as well. So, and every time we play them, it's always a good game. So it's one of those where we're going to have to show up on Friday night and make sure we do what we have to win that game. And then Saturday, you got one of the best teams in the country coming in. Augustana is extremely good. They're beating teams on average by 25 points, I think, in the league right now. So we're going to have to come out and you know, play our best game to compete in that game. I think we can, and I definitely am going into both games planning on winning the basketball games and competing. But, you know, we'll have to see how it goes.
All right, Coach, you mentioned Augustana specifically being such a good team. For you guys to pull out in that one, who needs to step up for the team?
Everybody. That's going to have to be a full team effort. You know, there's not one guy that's going to be able to walk into that gym and beat Augustana. They're too good of a basketball team. They're all seniors. They're just a very balanced basketball team. We're going to have to defend them. They've got, two of the best players in the conference with Jansen and Schilling, two of the best scoring guys in the conference. We're going to have to defend both of those guys. And then the other guys on the team play their roles and do it to the best of their abilities, and they just make them. They're number 2 in the country for a reason. So it's going to take a team effort from us. Every guy's going to have to be on the top of their game. We're going to have to all step up, and we're going to have to knock down shots. In the past, we've been able to get some decent looks against them, and we've been able to give them some issues. And we're just going to have to come in and execute our game plan and make shots that night.
All right. Well, there you have it, Peacock fans. Peacock men's basketball back in action this weekend. They'll be at home in Dorman Gymnasium Friday night against Wayne State and Saturday night against Augustana. Coming out for 90s weekend and support your Peacocks. Until next time, Peacock fans, I'm Jim Lowry. Thank you for watching.